I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of October 19th, 2011. Such a great week for comics. It was really tough narrowing it down to 5 books that I wanted to talk about this week. I don't know about you, but it was very difficult. And there were books that were so close to making it in the top 5. Ton of great stuff. Start things off with Wolverine number 17. This is the first issue under the Regenesis banner, written by Jason Aaron, artwork by Ron Garney, the team that did Wolverine Weapon X, not the Barry Windsor Smith Weapon X, but the most recent Jason Aaron series that was called Weapon X. And it's nice to see them back together again. They're a good team, and it was just a fun issue. It's no surprise if you've been watching these videos that I love Jason Aaron's take on Wolverine. And this ties in directly with the end of Schism. Wolverine is leaving San Francisco to restart the Westchester School. And some people on the interwebs were saying, well, how's he going to do this? He doesn't have any money. And they address that issue in this issue. And we get some guest appearances by other characters in the Marvel Universe. I think this is the first in probably a 3-issue story arc. At least that's what I'm guessing the pacing feels like, 3 issues. But it's a great jumping on point if you haven't been reading Wolverine. I highly recommend picking it up. If you read Schism and you enjoyed it, check out this first issue of Wolverine under the Regenesis headline.
Also, isn't Warren going with him? And he's
Yeah.
like a bajillionaire?
Yeah.
I think they specifically
Wolverine
said that
still
in the
needs
last
some
issue
money.
of Schism.
He needs some walkabout money.
He needs to go walkabout, actually. All right, next up. Batwoman number 2. I bring this up for 2 reasons. First, because I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. And second, because it and Demon Knights were both new last week. And someone, I'm not going to say who, forgot to tag them as new last week. So I actually forgot to read them last week, and I feel bad about it. But
And you may have forgotten to pick them up because they didn't have new tags in front of them.
but they're both good.
Now they have red tags in front
Now
of
they
them.
have red tags. That's how you can tell. Batwoman number 2 was good. It continued with the story. I felt like it got a lot more into the universe. I felt like it was more of an ongoing series. It grabbed my interest, and I was very close to not reading it at all. So if you like the old Greg Rucka Batwoman and detective stuff, you'll definitely like this, especially if you like say, Gotham City, Gotham Central, the GCPD stuff. There's a lot of police procedural and federal stuff going on. So Batwoman 2, better than it sounds.
Birds of Prey number 2. This, I think, is one of the hidden gems in the new DC 52. You know, not one of the headliners, the big 7 of the Justice League, but the first issue was very solid. I got to it late, didn't read it the first week it came out, but when I got around to it, I really enjoyed it. Also really enjoyed issue number 2. Very solid pacing. The artwork is fantastic by Jesus Sayas, who did some of my favorite stuff on J. Michael Straczynski's Brave and the Bold. It involves Black Canary. We get introduced to the new 52 version of Katana. There's another character towards the end that we get introduced to, and it's a new version. It's good. It's kind of like, almost like a Heroes for Hire type of feel to it. You know, it's a bunch of women that are doing good under the radar because they're all wanted by the cops, and the storyline has intrigued me. So kudos to you, Mr. Dwayne Swierczynski, that guy who's writing it.
Dwayne Straczynski.
Swierczynski, not to be confused with Straczynski. Anyway, read it. Birds of Prey.
Red Hood and the Outlaws number 2. I've continued to enjoy this, partially, well, actually mostly, because of the portrayal of Jason Todd. It's Jason he's still essentially the same character we had before as the Red Hood, but he's a little more fun, a little more agreeable. There's a little more hero and a little less I don't mind killing people in him. And so it continues to be a lot of fun. We're seeing more of his backstory, both things we already knew from the Red Hood days and also things that are relatively new to us from the New 52 continuity. And it's just a fun, action-y book with people that are morally gray, and I enjoy it.
Avengers number 18, written by Brian Michael Bendis, artwork by Daniel Acuna, who's the new regular penciler on the series. And I really liked this book. Number 1, I like Acuna's artwork better than some of the previous artists on this book. And it's kind of a walk through recent Marvel history, major events, and there's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that's collecting, she's part of kind of the crime scene cleanup crew, and she's collecting samples of superhuman DNA and stuff that gets left over after huge battles, and she reaches a point where she's had it with the heroes, and she's basically going to sell what she has to the highest bidder, and at the end we find out who that highest bidder is going to be, and it's a familiar face, and what that person does with this stuff should be interesting. So I really liked Captain America's portrayal in this book, and there's some great interaction between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. Really felt good, felt familiar, felt like a good Avengers book.
Next up, Catwoman number 2. Catwoman number 2 continues to be a T-plus book for a reason.
Sexy time.
Sexy times. But it's good. I really enjoy it. One of the things that happened in the 52 was the sort of splitting up of the major couples. Clark and Lois have never been married. Barry and Iris, that'd be creepy. Barry and Iris are never been married, and Selina doesn't know who Bruce is. So in this we get to see both Batman and Catwoman, and Bruce Wayne and Catwoman, and Bruce Wayne and Selina all sort of interacting, and it's much more interesting now. It's been a long time since we saw that dynamic, and I'm a big fan of what they're doing with it.
Along the same lines, not involving sexy time, Justice League number 2 by Jeff Johns and Jim Lee. This book is not late, just an FYI. It was always scheduled to come out the third week of the month. Was pushed ahead to coincide with the release of Flashpoint number 5 in late August. But we've had a lot of people asking about it. It's here. It's very good. In a lot of ways, it's better than the first issue. We have a lot more forward momentum. And kind of the way Josh was talking about Catwoman and Bruce and Selina and not knowing who everybody is, it's nice to see these characters when they first meet and how they get along and the dynamics. And, at the end, it looks like there's going to be a knockdown, drag-out brawl between Superman and, at the end of the first issue, Superman, Batman, and Green Lantern. And we get that in the beginning. And what I liked was it's not a typical heroes fighting heroes battle in this issue. Someone comes to their senses sooner and they try and work it out. But we get introduced to the Flash. We see the kind of beginnings of what's going to happen with Cyborg. And Jim Lee's artwork is fantastic. Johns knows how to write these characters, and there's a reason that this is the best-selling book in the new DCU.
Nightwing number 2. Kyle Higgins continues to be doing a great job with Nightwing. He's got a really good feel for Dick Grayson, and I really like what they're doing with the character. Until a couple years ago, Dick was pretty much Bloodhaven guy. Gotham had Batman, and Dick wanted to stay out of Bruce's shadow and also keep from butting heads with him all the time, so he went there. But then Dick had to become Batman, and now he's just sort of hanging around Gotham. It leaves him kind of pointless to a lesser extent. And this shows us what he's going to be doing, where he's going, and what's going on with him. And if you're a Dick Grayson fan, it's an absolute must-read.
My pick of the week, Wonder Woman number 2 by Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. I believe issue 1 was my pick of the week when it came out too. This is just such a unique take on Wonder Woman. I've told many people it's kind of a Greek horror story. And Wonder Woman as a title and as a character has been floundering over the last few years. They brought in A-list writers, and they haven't really pulled off the magical feat of making Wonder Woman a top seller. This could absolutely do it. A lot of people have had some issues with Chang's artwork, but I really like it. This cover looks significantly better than the cover to Wonder Woman number 1. We still have copies of Wonder Woman number 1, as we do most of the DC New 52 first issues, so it's not too late to get on board with this, and I think this is going to go down as one of the best Wonder Woman runs in recent history. And there's a teaser at the end, which is going to be a game changer, I think, for the character of Wonder Woman if what they're hinting at actually happens in the next issue. And if you, I don't encourage this, but if you do some internet searches, supposedly one of the papers, I think it was the New York Post or one of the other ones, actually revealed what happens in the next issue already. I have not read that on purpose because I like to be entertained when I read my comics. But Wonder Woman number 2 is outstanding and definitely worth your hard-earned money.
My pick of the week, it's no surprise, Batman number 2. Scott Snyder is really, really good at writing Batman. I would actually go so far as to say you don't need to read the first issue of Batman, which is good because it sells out pretty quickly every time it comes in. But this almost feels like a standalone. It has a beginning, a middle, and end. Things happen. It reveals important things, and it just really feels like this is the first Bat book I've read in a very long time that actually feels like Batman the Animated Series, which to me is the pinnacle of Batman. And Scott Snyder, awesome. Batman number 2, check it out.
All right, very quickly, some noteworthy trades that came out this week. After a many-year delay, Twilight, the graphic novel, Volume 2. Now, we sold a fair number of Volume 1, but that was like 3 years ago. So this second volume has finally come out. Those of you that purchased the first volume, wherever you may be, come back and pick up Volume 2, especially with the new movie coming out. This is perfect for Twilight fans. Guys, if you're shopping for yourselves, pick up something for your ladies. Twilight, right here. All right, Walking Dead fans, the first original Walking Dead novel written by Robert Kirkman and this other guy. This is called The Rise of the Governor, and kind of outlines the origin of the governor, how he got to where he is, and if you're reading the comic, you know who this guy is. If you're just a fan of the TV show, you can probably still pick this up and enjoy it. And finally, the last of our media tie-ins this week, Batman Arkham City, the hardcover edition, and this bridges the gap between Batman Arkham Asylum, the video game, and Batman Arkham City, the video game. You read this, right?
I did. It was awesome.
There you go. Josh said it was awesome. And my kids can't stop playing Batman Arkham City, by the way. All right, very quickly, we got a question from something Syntex 13. I can't remember your username on YouTube, but the question was, what do we think about Mark Miller and his runs on Ultimates and Wolverine and various other things? Personally, I think Miller has done some great stuff at Marvel. I love his Wolverine run, the Wolverine Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent of Hydra, and it's collected in this nice oversized collected edition. His involvement with the Ultimate Universe was, a huge part of why it was successful in the beginning. His Old Man Logan storyline is must-reading for Wolverine fans.
And counterpoint, my feeling on Mark Miller's Marvel stuff is similar to his other stuff. He has a wonderful idea he's great at coming up with ideas and having storylines. He's not as good at executing them. I loved Old Man Logan until the last 2 issues. I loved Enemy of the State all the way through. Ultimates was good. But yeah, so uneven for me, but he definitely has a great deal of potential, and I'd love to see him finally realize it someday.
And there you have it. If you have any other questions, please post them in the comment section below, and we'll try to get to them. As always, we appreciate you watching. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/alteregomaniacs or twitter.com/alteregocomics. And it's a great week for comics. We hope to see you in the store real soon.